Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Collaborative Podcast. My name is Tyler, and this is our founder and CEO, Timnihill.
Hello, everybody.
What are you doing on there?
Oh, I'm looking at the anti-Jim Cramer index.
Really? What's that about?
Well, if you bet against everything that Jim Cramer says to buy or sell on television, you make a lot of money.
That's fair. How you doing in that so far?
I mean, if you track the index, you're actually doing extremely well.
Okay.
Better than the S&P 500. Asymmetric opportunistic investing.
For sure. And speaking of opportunistic investing, there's a particular opportunity today that I think we are going to be talking about that I know we mentioned last week that we would be talking about, and it's one I've been pretty interested in for quite a while, so I'm definitely interested to get into it. But that
what is the topic?
That's real estate. More specifically, how blockchain reshapes the way it works.
Real estate. I love this conversation.
I know you do. We all do. But do you want to explain to them why?
Everybody gets wealthy in real estate. At least that's what everyone's meant to believe.
That's what everyone's meant to believe.
Yep. What are we going to talk about regarding real estate today?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. Like, if you look at a lot of big real estate professionals today, they're already in the capital markets business. It's the way things are happening today, and this is something that real estate professionals especially are going to want to know, is their part in the tokenization of assets. Specifically, like I said, how blockchain can really reshape real estate capital. I mean, tokenization is changing the way that the tools are used and equipped in that industry. Like for example, there are pain points, right, that everyone in the industry recognizes: capital raising friction, investor concentration risk, illiquidity of ownership investments or interests, administrative burden of syndications. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that really goes into that, and that are just, pain points in that industry that tokenization helps to address, at least, from what's really happening out there right now. I don't know, have you kind of seen that in the field?
Not yet, but it's coming.
What do you mean by that?
So, well, first of all, when you talk about tokenization of real estate, are you talking about people in the real estate industry? What sector of the industry? Because that's one conversation with this. Mm-hmm. And then you have the whole other conversation with how it affects the advisory world, mm-hmm. especially as it relates to real estate investment trusts, real estate exposures, direct participation programs, 1031s, all that jazz. So over here, it's an awesome positive. Over here, it's a real bad thing.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way, or in what way for each of those?
I mean, you have to think about, well, what market do you want to talk about, right? So,
always start with the bad news.
Yeah. So let's take most real estate agents out there that are working with people to sell properties, whether commercial or residential, right? And especially secondary properties down in like Naples, Miami, and all over the country. So here's where tokenization hurts. One, I'm someone that owns a house in, let's say, Naples, Florida. I feel like selling it. I have a tokenized asset which represents title, property, investment, and ownership on my house. Let's say I'm in the Port Royal Club area, for example, right? So mm-hmm. I'll tokenize my house. I'll flip it up on the blockchain and say, hey, this is for sale for whatever. I could say it's for sale for 1,000 Bitcoin. I could say it's for sale for $6 million, whatever that number may be, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm making my listing available to everybody that knows how to access the blockchain, right? Mm-hmm. Which is going to be everybody very soon. So then my house is up for sale and I can transact basically with anyone around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I don't necessarily need anymore is a real estate agent.
I see.
I only need the real estate agent to take videos, which, if I know what I'm doing with a drone, I could pretty much do myself.
So really, it's the same as banks. You're getting rid of the middleman.
The middleman is in trouble. Now, you have to understand that most people won't be able to navigate this stuff on their own because they won't have the wherewithal to do it. So you'll have the people that can do everything on their own. They're do-it-yourselfers, if you will. But you're now, as a real estate agent on the buy-sale side, potentially in trouble because you're potentially not needed. So then it's very similar to how Zillow changed the game, but I think it's 100 times more impactful.
This is the next evolution of Zillow.
Even beyond that. Because then what you have to take into account is now with tokenization, traditionally that transaction is one buyer. But we don't live in the same world anymore. The mentalities that existed for 100 years and the last 3,000 years are pretty much over and done with. So I may not necessarily have one buyer. I may have 20 buyers. Now in the traditional space, if you wanted to split a property like this and have 20 people purchase it, it's a royal pain to deal with from a transaction perspective, from an ownership, titling, blah, 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 right?
Yeah, I mean, unless all 20 people want to live in that thing at the same time.
Right, so now I can come in and have buyers, and I could have 20 people come to me that say, hey, we're all going to buy this together. I'm just fractionalizing my token and ownership to each one. The titling is done by smart contract. The underwritten math is I don't need a bank for the transaction anymore. You can all pay me in cash. Or if you want to underwrite a loan which is backed by Bitcoin or crypto or something like that, we can underwrite a loan so the bank's eliminated. In terms of the entire transaction, well, I build a smart contract into my token, and that basically governs the legalities of the transaction. So now I don't need a real estate agent anymore. Right?
I definitely see the good and the bad in there.
It's the good, the bad, the ugly. So from an adoption perspective in the real estate world, if I'm someone in that space on a day-to-day basis, I got to figure out how I can bone up on the tokenization of real estate and how I can excel and use it to my advantage. Because I'm just giving you the transaction based on someone like myself, or even in the younger generations that think they can do it on their own. So there has to be a level of expertise that you bring to the table as a professional, that, hey, I can help you make sure there are no pitfalls, it's written properly, and all that good stuff. Because you're going to want to oversee what the technology is doing. But it's definitely a game changer, and I would say it enables a lot of middlemen to be eliminated, and the ones that are currently doing what they're doing in their current form. But at the same time, for real estate agents that understand the adoption of it and can adapt to the technology and use it to their advantage, you might actually have a bigger client base and more opportunities out of it. Right? Because I can attract more people. I can interact with more buyers, not just here in the States, but across the world.
Not only that, but like development projects, if they need flexible capital, this is the most flexible form of capital there is.
Yeah, it makes underwriting. Okay, so I want to do a capital raise, right? Because we talk about this at 10-7. So if I have a token and I can use my token as a capital raise, all you're doing is buying the token, right? So then there's my capital raise, which is a million times easier than using the traditional banking system, wiring funds, and all that other good stuff. And then from there, I can continue to issue additional coins and collateral to bring in more money on projects if need be, or if I'm really smart, I'm taking a piece of what's coming in and I'm buying something like Bitcoin with it. So if I require additional capital, I can borrow against that for additional capital, and I don't have to go to market again on capital raises. And then, should I not have to do that, right? Should I not have to leverage the Bitcoin, for example? Well, any gains on that are returned to the investor with the sale and completion of the project. And in that world, it's like, are you the builder or are you the operator? Are you both? And how do you integrate the technology through a life cycle?
Not only that, but like you can also adopt a hybrid model. Traditional equity and tokenized tranches can go hand in hand if you know how to work the system right.
Definitely. And the other thing too is in the advisory space, our biggest issue is liquidity, right? Because a lot of real estate investments that are not publicly traded are not liquid. They're real estate projects. Well, in a tokenized space, I can provide for ongoing liquidity and ongoing capital raise. So if someone needs to shift out and a new buyer wants to come in, we can easily do that. And then on top of that, your traditional, well, you have to be an accredited investor or qualified purchaser, something like that. I mean, you could really start to dial that back because you could bring these strategies down, and you could have lower minimums.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you could solve the lower minimum and the liquidity problems for people, it allows for a more diverse group of investors, right? And you just have to set the guardrails. So
what are the guardrails so far? I mean, obviously, this technology is already here and it's already affecting the industry. And like you said, it's going to continue to in a more pervasive way very soon. I'm wondering, in the same way that stable coins and other tokens, especially Bitcoin, are being addressed by, the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, stuff like that. What are the guardrails that are in place or are being worked on, to your knowledge, as it relates to tokenization and real estate? Are there any?
There isn't anything yet. I think it's all in the works.
Really? We're that early?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, in the United States, tokenized assets are just getting started, like out in Texas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, out in Japan, there was $100 million or $1 billion plus skyscraper got tokenized.
The Middle East is really leading the charge.
Dubai, I mean, they're already way ahead of the curve. So if you want to look at money and finance, when you really see what other places across the world are doing, you'll understand how far behind the United States is.
Well, part of it is, especially with the Middle East, is the reason they're like really aggressively throwing their money around is because the oil is starting to dry up. By 2061, it's going to be gone, at least in the Middle East. So they need to diversify. They need to find other avenues of making money.
Well, and you're banking on the fact that those reports are accurate. Do I believe that the Middle East is going to run out of oil in 25 years, 35 years?
I think 2061 was the projected year. Originally, it was 2071. Then they cut it back by 10 years.
Well, you have to understand that 98% of most science is inaccurate, so I don't buy that. But okay, let's go with that one. Either way, Middle East is not going to run out of oil, and there's way more oil in Texas than there is in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And
there's a saying, there's a saying that I think a German politician in the 1800s once said about there's a meme about how the U.S. will just randomly find massive stockpiles of resources in the middle of nowhere somewhere in American territory every 5 minutes. I think the quote was something like, God has a special type of providence for drunks, fools, and the United States of America.
Jeez, man. Anyways, the long and the short of that is
random lithium in Oregon.
there's an organic transition that every society goes through, right? So to acquire and become a wealthy society or place to live, there's got to be some sort of natural resource. Use it for barter and trading. You build up your areas. You become tourist attractions, and your economies just constantly shift. So, the Middle East is becoming more of a tourist area and a center for global finance.
Yeah, entertainment especially.
Yeah, so they're already on the forefront of tokenizing real estate, right? So if you're in real estate now, just start to see what they're doing in the Middle East, and really start to figure out how to incorporate this. But depending on where you are on each exposure to the real estate world, I think it's going to bring a lot of diversity and investment opportunities to investors across the world to get into real estate, to purchase real estate, not just here in the U.S., but across the world, right? Because we have clients that their long-term plans are not to stay in the U.S. So having a blockchain and tokenization and being able to, basically on your own underwrite everything you need to underwrite. Like, think about it. If you do a traditional transaction and use the Naple house that we were just talking about, let's say you list the house at $6 million. Okay, you're buy and sell real estate agents. What are you paying them in commission?
Yeah, exactly.
4, 5, 6%.
So it's probably not even 6 million. It's more.
Well, yeah, right. Well, it comes out of the sale price. So then that traditional percentage that was reserved for the real estate agent, actually each party keeps that in their pocket.
Oh, that's right. So you're not pocketing nearly as much.
Title, that's easy to figure out. So that's next to nothing from a cost perspective. And then from a real estate and an attorney perspective, I don't need to pay an attorney anymore. Right? Like, technology will write the contract, and it's embedded in my token.
Yep.
And then now you're going to be able to attract more buyers and capital, because you might not be selling to one individual or one family. You might be selling to a group of people that want to get in on something together as a second or a third property. Like,
especially when it comes to technology writing the contracts, which is especially true. Like, I know personally, I can say, like, the thing with laws is, with the advent of the internet, they're all somewhere posted. They're all somewhere publicly available, because they have to be publicly available.
Yeah.
It's just no one except for attorneys and politicians regularly checks them. Politicians need to, if they want to write new bills, and attorneys, check them, for cases and all that stuff. But most people don't even know where the laws are posted, and if they do, searching through them is a nightmare. The generative technology allows people to comb through all of these laws, find them wherever they are, summarize them, go through all of the various points, clauses, compile them. You can do a lot with it.
And it minimizes the opportunity for mistake. Because the delivery is more accurate. So, yeah, tokenization, I think, makes real estate really, really interesting. If you're out there, like, as a real estate agent or a real estate attorney, and you're not paying attention to this, I would start paying attention to this now. And then in our world, on the investment side, as we move to tokenization, for us, I don't worry about it at all. It makes our business way better. And if I'm more precise because of the adaptation of technology that I've already built from an investment and oversight and due diligence perspective, and couple that with the opportunity to instantaneously execute transactions and take advantage of capital opportunities, right? Like, one of the things that we're doing right now is, looking at farmland in New Zealand. There are opportunities there. There are opportunities in other countries across the world to do different things, and tokenization allows for so many advantages in this space. that if you know how to do it, it's lights out.
Yeah. Best part about farmland in New Zealand is like every plot of land comes with a hobbit that helps you garden.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
No, but that does bring me to my last question I want to ask, and this kind of arrives at the crux of the tokenization process when it comes to real estate that I think a lot of professionals are going to want to know, especially because their jobs are going to be eliminated. A lot of professionals are going to want to transition into understanding how the process works. How do you tokenize a building? How do you tokenize a property? At least from what you've seen, how is it accomplished? What's the process? What's the system?
You're just creating a token tied to the asset that represents the ownership of the asset.
So it's no different conceptually than, say, listing a property on Zillow.
Yeah, it's not much different. It's just, here's a token. This represents the contract and the ownership and all the details related to the building. And then
where would you go to?
Then it's listed on the blockchain.
Where would you go to list it on the blockchain? Just any number of exchanges, XRP, stuff like that?
Yeah, there you can do exchanges. You probably do it on like something like the open seas of the world. There are plenty of things that are out there that are up and coming as well.
So really, you just need to look up like a blockchain exchange, make an account, and then you're good to go.
On Polygon. It could happen on all sorts of different blockchains. Okay. It's just a matter of Ethereum's probably the one that comes to mind that will dominate in this space in the tokenization.
Okay, then
so I can tokenize my asset on Ethereum. I can use Ethereum if I want, or any number of other cryptos to execute any transaction that I want. Mm-hmm. And basically, the other thing too is you're able to be your own real estate agent at a higher level. You're able to be your own real estate attorney at a higher level. And this is on both sides of the transaction. And then you're able to execute the transaction on your own at a higher level. And I don't need 60-day settlement anymore. I need 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the other thing, is the efficiency and speed of it. If I want to close on an asset and a tokenized asset, I could do it instantaneously. Bing, done, click of a button. Well, close in 30 days, close in 45 days, close in 90, close in 60. How about I close in 60 seconds?
That does bring me, though, I did lie. I do have one actual final question that you just brought up. Because when you mentioned Ethereum, that piqued my interest, and I think it's going to pique a lot of the viewers' interests as well. Because a lot of what we've said, whether it's on this podcast or on our sister podcast, The Bridge, as well as in, what we tell a lot of people in general in our public-facing content, we mention, and obviously there's evidence to back this up, which is why we mention it, Bitcoin and its importance as, the fastest rising digital currency of the future. It makes me wonder, therefore, why would you say Ethereum is superior when it comes to real estate? What does Ethereum have in relation to real estate that Bitcoin doesn't as a protocol? But yeah, what about Ethereum makes it superior to Bitcoin in the realm of real estate as a protocol compared to Bitcoin? Like, what about Ethereum makes it, the most suited for the tokenized real estate market?
I think Ethereum was built more for tokenization to begin with. Bitcoin was built as a peer-to-peer network for transactions, mm-hmm. and essentially to become more of a store of value in digital gold. I think Ethereum allows for faster transactions and more builds on the Ethereum platform and blockchain, mm-hmm. which then other blockchains can plug into, so then it really becomes almost like this spider web of blockchains with Ethereum at the core.
Oh, so you can convert to Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, I could convert. You pick whatever you want to be paid in. Mm-hmm. That's not tied to any particular blockchain. Yeah. Pay me in dollars if it's even around by then. And, pay me in Bitcoin,
the stable
Ethereum,
coin
XRP,
equivalent.
Solana, whatever. But if you look at, the NFT world, Ethereum is just right now the leader in that space, and they're the lead blockchain. And I think the application for Ethereum is different than the real application and intent of Bitcoin.
That's interesting. I definitely would not have expected Ethereum to be. I mean, I know obviously Ethereum's the number 2 in general, but I definitely wouldn't have expected it to be the number 1 in.
From this perspective,
yeah, such a pivotal market.
But like the gold standard of crypto is Bitcoin.
Are most major tokenizations of property, big buildings, big major properties in, Japan, the Middle East, Texas, stuff like that, are most of those, do those tend to be done in Ethereum?
I haven't looked at any of them recently. I'd have to double check that one. I would say probably, and there are a couple others in my mind that are in this space that, especially if you get into the large financial systems, like do I see Ripple, right? And Ripple's protocol being a big driver for larger financial institutions and transactions. Yeah, I could certainly see that.
Mm-hmm.
So
there are some
the
people.
The thing that you have to understand is it's so weird, the dynamic of people.
Yeah.
Everyone's like one or the other.
Yeah, there are literally some people who, I won't name names, but like there are some people who, for example, are saying like, oh, XRP is the future. XRP is everything. XRP is going to be the foundation of literally everything. When it's like, if anything, what we've proven today is that there is no one blockchain, there is no one protocol that is going to be the foundation of everything.
The foundational technology.
It's not how it works.
And the backbone is the same, but the rest of it spider webs into all sorts of other opportunities, and it's just a matter of can they communicate together.
Digital assets.
So it's like not one or the other. And everyone's like, oh, like you get into the argument in our world, well, the dollar, blah, 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 the dollar's worthless and it's going away. So stop with that nonsense. It's been happening for thousands of years, these currency swaps, and guess what? The US dollar's gone. Everybody's saying it and nobody's wanting to do anything about it. So you got to say, okay, what's the next generation of transaction and economy? It's blockchain, it's digital assets, it's gen tech, it's all this. Whether you like it or not, that's where it is. So then, okay, now who are going to be the major players and what are going to be the protocols? And it's not just in the United States. You have to get rid of your U.S. bias now because it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be what's used here, what's used there. And like everyone's like the argument of gold versus Bitcoin and all that jazz.
There is no one center. There is no one.
I would just rather own all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. You want diversification, own everything.
Yeah, there is no one. There is no one center of gravity for currency. There is no one center of gravity for finance. There is no one center of gravity for political power.
Thinking that they have the best of whatever. It's not how the world works.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be
it's an outdated mentality.
Number of primary blockchains that lead the next generation of finance and economy. Most of real estate I could see in the United States being on the Ethereum blockchain. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's just a matter of, how it impacts everyone's day to day. But don't sleep for 1 second when someone like an Elon Musk goes up there and tells you that 80% of all jobs can be replaced. I mean, he literally said everybody that sits in a cubicle, it's the equivalent of daycare for adults.
Mm-hmm.
So you could sit there and you have a choice. You could try to fight the river and swim upstream, or you can just go with the river. And that's where now real estate professionals on all sides of the transaction and advisors and wealth managers are in this space, because this is going to be something that everybody's going to have to adopt.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean, when you embrace the current of the river, that doesn't mean, get swept up in it and drown. Build yourself a boat, get educated.
No, you just float down the river. It's a great ride.
Well, not even that. I would go so far as to say, like, get yourself educated, get yourself prepared for what's coming, which is the equivalent of building a boat and riding down the current.
Right. So in the you're going to get the Clarity Act, which is they're going to finish up the Genius Act, and the banks have lost, I think, on the stable coins because no one understands how controlled by the banking system we've become. And that's not what America's about. So we have to fix the banking problem that we have and take power away from the banks, which digital assets just did. And then you have to transition to the new age of economy and finance. Right? So, I texted a friend of mine, I'm like, BlackRock just filed to tokenize all of their ETFs. It's BlackRock, dude. What BlackRock wants, BlackRock gets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the best part of working there. Hey, I'm from BlackRock. You know what? I'm going to take this phone call.
You ever seen a...
that's just the power of an organization like that. And so now...
And they've got their, for what it's worth, I mean, granted they are a legacy platform, but they're one of the more forward-thinking ones. They've got their finger on the pulse.
They can be, because they're not a custodial platform and they're not a bank.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a custodial platform and a bank, you're in trouble.
I think you mentioned one time, you had dinner with Larry Fink himself, and you were pretty impressed by him, his mentality.
Dude, I worked at BlackRock. I was in the room with everybody there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the point is, when BlackRock shifts, right? I mean, think about it. When I was at BlackRock, I think we consulted on $30 trillion worth of assets across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that wave of information going out has a lot of influence and power to it. So if I'm BlackRock and I'm telling all my clients, and they're literally issuing new Bitcoin strategies, telling people, we're going in on this, they're sitting in front of all their institutional clients, and all retail is sitting listening to the news, and financial advisors are listening to CNBC and Bloomberg and Fox Business as if they're telling you the truth, which they're not. Been behind the scenes on filming those shows too. You see what's happening. And everyone, like I said before, it's like, if you're in real estate, this is an issue you're going to have to deal with in 36 months. And I know people in the industry that have been doing real estate for a long time that are either selling out and leaving, or they're adapting and adopting.
Yep. It's either or. You can either build the boat or just float.
Yeah.
But you can't swim against it.
Right. So in my world, people are, what I've been told is we've built an ark. We're like Noah and Noah's Ark. We've built an ark
Mm-hmm.
at 10-7 Capital. The flood's coming. And do you have your own ark? Are you part of someone else's? Or do you get left behind? Because that's what the new wave of technology is going to do. Across all industries, but specific to real estate, there are going to be pain points for some and opportunities for others. But in my world, it makes, from the advisory side, it makes our jobs easier, more transparent. The money movement and dealing with the wires and all that jazz are completely eliminated, which is great. So it increases our speed and efficiency. But at the same time, I could see a lot of the middle people in that market in particular are going to be wiped out and gone.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that whole thing goes. I think the Ethereum point still blows my mind, but yeah, that whole, I mean, this is really one of the most rapidly burgeoning markets when it comes to it comes to the tokenization of assets. So I definitely think real estate professionals should pay attention to it. I know. I think I myself might pay more attention to it.
See if I can look something up quickly.
Going back to that Kramer index.
No, not going back to the Kramer index.
Well, you already looked at that one. How's real estate doing on the Kramer Index?
Yeah, the Realty is the one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that are tokenizing U.S. rental properties, and they are using Ethereum.
Okay.
So, like I said, Ethereum is the blockchain.
That's very interesting.
So you have right now in the United States, I was just looking this up, right, getting an update on it. Right, so they're on Ethereum, Polygon, and Stellar, which is XLM. And it's Realty, Lofty, Proppy, Block, Square, Slice, and Securitize.
And these are all the exchanges where you can list property.
They're fractionalizing and tokenizing real estate.
Okay.
And I think, I want to say that Securitize is who BlackRock partnered up with. So, yeah, I was right. It was on the Ethereum. Ethereum is leading the charge there.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of options available. I would definitely recommend.
And like I said, I have a couple friends of mine around Florida that we're doing these presentations for now to really start to dive into the weeds of tokenization and helping get them the right information so they can adapt. Right?
So we'll have to see what happens.
If I could sit at home and make more money than I'm making today, why wouldn't I?
Exactly. But
that's a concept I think people have to grasp.
That's
true. You don't have to work hard to make money.
Mm-hmm. But I think that being said, we will cut it off there. Definitely, like I said, look into the way that real estate is being tokenized. It is a crucial part of the tokenization of assets that is happening across the industry. But yeah, that being said, that was today's edition of the Crypto Collaborative podcast. Obviously, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Check us out, Crypto Collaborative. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Hope to see you on the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, my hair's restored and reset again. Back to...
Yeah, exactly. I'm next.
Back to where it should be. The next episode, we are going to discuss how broker-dealers are going out of business.
That's a good one.
That'll be a fun one.
Look forward to it. Cheers.
Cheers.